at the weekend, the Premier League really was a mess. There were some shock decisions, some terrible decisions really, and we'll come to them in a moment. But also some shock results. Manchester City losing to Wolves, for example. Aston Villa hammering Brighton 6-1, and it's a Villa side that looks like under Unai Emery, who's a very good coach, won the Europa League 4 times, I think, with Sevilla. Certainly 3 times with Sevilla and once with somebody else in Spain. And Manchester United losing at home to Crystal Palace, which may not have been exactly a shock, but it's a terrible result for United. And we're joined to discuss all of this now by John Giles. John, we should start with Liverpool. The Liverpool game against Spurs was a very good game in many respects, but it was completely destroyed. Liverpool had 2 players sent off, and they had a goal disallowed when it was 0-0. Diaz was the scorer. It was obvious looking at it that he wasn't offside. The linesman put his flag up straight away, made a mistake, and the very reason VAR was brought in was, and I can quote the words, to clear up any clear and obvious errors that were made. This was a clear and obvious error, but they got themselves in a mess upstairs looking at the picture. No lines were drawn where they should be for offside, and the goal was disallowed. So the clear and obvious error was not corrected, which is the reason VAR was brought in. I don't think VAR should be, I think it should be abolished straight away. When we were talking about it, Liam was for it, I was for it, you were for it. Didi, our old friend Didi Hamann, was against it, and he's been proven right in my opinion. First of all, let me ask you about VAR. I think it's making matters worse because it's putting pressure on the referees. Some elements of it don't work. If the slow-mo of Jones's sending off looked as if he had gone right over the top of the ball and could have broken his opponent's leg. In real time, his foot slipped on the ball. It was a sort of tackle for a booking, but I don't think there was malice in his intent. But even if there was, leave that aside. Diaz's goal was a proper goal, a good goal. And then Diogo Jota was sent off for 2 yellow cards. The first one wasn't a yellow card at all because his opponent tripped himself up. So this was a mess. Liverpool will be top of the league this morning. They're not, they're 4th. But should VAR be scrapped, John, or should we truck on?
Well, there's so much controversy over it, Eamon. I wouldn't be surprised and I wouldn't be disappointed if it was taken away.
Yeah.
Now, I think it's outrageous in the way that people have approached this VAR. I think the VAR in itself is the principle of it is good. We're getting these idiots, Eamon, who are making a total mess of it.
Yeah.
If you go back to Saturday, there was supposed to be one guy there who was to look over whether the player was offside or not, and he missed it.
Yeah.
And that type of thing is happening all the time with VAR. I mean, we had the situation last year. Do you remember they changed, whoever did it, changed the offside rule, Eamon?
Yeah.
And the rule was that, like, if somebody was offside in our day, or well, fairly recently, the linesman put his flag up when he was offside. What they did last year, we said, well, he's not going to put his flag up because if he doesn't touch the ball...
Yes.
Between now and then, this type of nonsense, Eamon.
Yeah.
And there's people out there bringing that type of rules into the game, right? Which are totally destroying VAR.
Yes.
The context of VAR. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of stupidity, Eamon. In the VAR in itself is a very, very good idea if it's run properly. If it's not run properly, which has not been done with these idiots, then we're all better off without it.
So VAR should go.
VAR has to go if we have these idiots still in control of the situation, Eamon.
Yeah.
It's just ridiculous what they're doing. Changing the rules, not like Saturday in the Liverpool match. Somebody not seeing the situation of the lad being offside. How can you miss that? And you're there to look at it. You're being paid to look at that situation to stop it. So VAR in itself is a very good idea. The clowns that are running it deserve to be kicked out of it. And I think VAR has to go as long as we've got these idiots doing what they're doing.
Okay. Now, we'll go to the football, John. And Liverpool have made a good start to the season. They're scoring a lot of goals. They're giving goals away, John. There's no doubt about that. They've conceded 7 goals in 7 games, but some of those matches have been against lesser teams. But the other talking point of this match was the opponents, Tottenham Hotspur. They have this Postecoglou, Ange Postecoglou, who is an Australian. He coached in Japan. Then he went and coached at Celtic. He has a very good record. And he's had a dramatic effect, I think we both believe, on that Spurs team in that he's got rid of a few wasters, and the players he has in the team now play without fear, play a passing game, and even against Arsenal last week, they went behind twice, no panic, kept passing, kept doing the right things, and they got their 2-2 draw. So they're a pretty interesting new team, and he's a pretty interesting new coach.
Oh, he's very good, Eamon.
Yeah.
I'm not really in favour of playing out from the back in certain ways. But this fella's doing it, and he's doing it, and has the players doing it unbelievably good. Well.
Confidently.
Excellent.
Yeah.
He's whatever way, well, obviously he has the confidence of the players.
Yes.
You know, because that, like a lot of players can in certain clubs say, oh, I'm not sure about that, I'm not sure that. But he definitely has the players doing what he wants them to do.
Yeah.
And they're playing with full of confidence doing it, Eamon.
Yeah.
Sometimes it frightens the life out of me when I think, God, I wouldn't do that. But they're doing it and doing it well and backing each other up.
Yes.
And that's down to him, which is really, really top class stuff. I mean, this is without Harry Kane. Imagine what they'd be doing if Harry was in the situation.
Indeed, and Harry bailed Bayern Munich out of a shock defeat, got an equaliser late in the game for Bayern Munich at the weekend, and he's got a hat-trick the previous week. Just to talk about one particular Spurs player, John, I think we both always admired Son, and he's really playing really, really well. Scored 2 goals against Arsenal and scored a goal against Liverpool this weekend. And he and Kane were a great partnership. Kane set up a lot of goals for him and vice versa. But Son is a really good player.
I think Harry set up more for him.
Yes,
David.
I think so.
He was a terrific player, and obviously when Harry went, you could see at the start of the season he wasn't getting the supply.
Yeah,
I think he missed Harry very, very much. But they've got them playing, the team playing a lot better now and making the chances for him. And we've always loved him. I mean, he's been a great pro.
He has,
He gets on with the job. He does his stuff. No messing about. Really, really top notch.
Now, you fancy Liverpool, you told me at the weekend, John, to do really well this season and be serious contenders to win the Premier League. And I think one of the principal reasons was the attacking power they have. Diaz, Mo Salah, of course, Núñez, who wasn't fit enough to start the game, Jurgen Klopp said, but was on the bench and has come good after a really rough start. They have, of course, Diogo Jota as well. A lot of goals in that team, John.
Yeah, there's a lot. We've got Salah, I mean, I had them written down just a matter. I don't usually write much. Salah, Gakpo, Jota, Núñez, Diaz.
Yes.
I mean, these are all top notch.
And they're all good goal scorers.
Good goal scorers. So he's got that in. He's got a lot of strength there. I think the only doubt, I know we've spoken about it, was defending.
Yeah, Van Dijk has lost a yard or two of pace, and for a centre half, I mean, Van Dijk did transform Liverpool in many ways and has been an outstanding central defender. He has this tendency to put his hand up in the air and play for offside, which he always had, even when he had the pace. But he had a very bad knee injury, a cruciate ligament, and that is a very bad injury. And sometimes, in the old days, it could be the end of you. Even now, I think it's taken a yard or two of pace off him.
Yeah, well, the goal they conceded against Spurs, the first one.
Yeah.
Gomez was easily beaten.
Yes.
Very easily beaten. And Son made a run, and Van Dijk was sort of putting his hand up for offside.
Yes.
Instead of backing him up. Now, I mean, I'm a great admirer of Van Dijk, same as yourself, and Liverpool generally. I think what they have, if they can keep it tight at the back game, and they've signed a few players in midfield, but the striking power they have is by far and away better than any of the clubs in the Premiership. There's no doubt. I think that like you've got City doing what they're doing, and you got Spurs doing whatever they're doing. But I think Liverpool at the moment, I don't put a few bob on, as you know. I think they're worth a few bob to win the league.
Okay, now Manchester City, John. Don't know what's going on there, to be honest with you. I don't know where Bernardo Silva's gone. Grealish went out partying after they won the treble last year, and I think he hasn't really come back yet. He hasn't started many goals. I think he's a bit of a lad, and I don't think that's good for a footballer to do that at his age. He should be pushing on. I'm sure you agree. They've got Foden, who's very good. This fella Alvarez, who scored again on Saturday. The Argentinian has been a good acquisition. Walker is a much better player now, thanks to Guardiola coaching him. They got Diaz, who I think is the mainstay of their defence now, and they have a proper defence. They've got Aki, who's a good player, but there's something missing. Let me ask you about our friend Rodri. Everyone is raving about Rodri now. All the stats merchants say he's the best player, Premier League midfield player, maybe the best in Europe. He scored a winning goal in the Champions League, to be fair to him, in the final. You've never fancied him, and I've never really fancied him, but he's been out for 3 games now, and they seem to miss him.
Well, I think they do miss him. I mean, he does bring something to the team in terms of being a good defensive player. Doesn't give the ball away. I mean, I expect more from a midfield player, getting on the ball and creating things, and he doesn't do that. But he's a very good player at what he does. Yeah. But like in City's case, I wouldn't get too critical of them at this particular time. No. It's the first match they've lost this season. Yeah. You know, and like they do things that I don't understand, I must say that, but they've got such a crowd of players, or not a crowd of players.
Well, you've got Haaland for a start.
They've got Haaland. They've got Foden will come into the game.
Yeah,
I think
Foden's
it was a bad
good,
game. I think Wolves can be. We saw Wolves against Liverpool a couple of weeks ago, Eamon. Yeah, and they looked a very, very good team in the first half, and then they made Liverpool made a couple of changes and were really good and finished up beating them. But I think this Gary O'Neill is a good lad. I think he will get them going. I think he will surprise a lot of teams this year, and I think surprise City. But City is the first game they've lost. They've got a lot of I didn't see the City team, Eamon. I know they were beaten and deserved to be beaten from what I read. But it's the first defeat of the season, so there's a long way to go.
Yes, of course.
As we know, long way to go yet. I think Liverpool have a long way to go, and Liverpool, I think, have picked up. I think they're better now than they have been in the last couple of seasons. City, we'll have to wait and see. It was a bad defeat for them, but it does happen. It's happened to them before. So we'll see if they pick it up again. I'll be surprised if they don't. Now,
this fella, Unai Emery, John, he's been a very good coach for a long time. I think he had a brief spell at Arsenal, didn't do well and was out the door. But he had a great record in Spain. He's gone to Villa Park. Villa now they beat Brighton 6-1 on Saturday. I watched the match. Don't know if you watched it, but...
Yeah, I did, yeah.
This kid who got the hat-trick, Watkins... Very good. He's got 2 hat-tricks this season.
Yeah, he's very good, Eamon.
He's a good player, John. And I know that the England manager, Gareth Southgate, was there watching him on Saturday. Yeah. There's an energy about them and a toughness, and they're organised, which they hadn't been.
Yeah. I don't think he got a chance at Arsenal, Eamon. I don't think he ever got off to a start there.
Yeah.
allowed him to do obviously what he's good at. I mean, his record before he came to Arsenal is excellent, as we know.
Yes.
And since he's come to Villa, he's made a huge difference to them. There's no doubt about that.
Yep.
I mean, Brighton are no softies.
No.
But it's the way they're playing generally. And Wilkins is a lad that came from the third division 2 or 3 years ago. I mean.
Yeah, Watkins actually.
Wilkins, is it? Watkins, sorry. And he's a very, very good player. He has he's good attitude, Eamon. He's a grafter. He works hard. He does it for the team, and he's come on really, really well. I wouldn't be surprised if he became a regular.
Yes.
In the England team, and he's a big player for Villa. But he's a really, really good lad. He works hard for them, gets his goals, plays well. No messing about at all. Very, very good.
Now, John, Manchester United 0, Crystal Palace 1. It's looking a bit alarming for United, to be honest. They've lost 2 games at home, haven't scored many goals, and their team they put out on the pitch doesn't make sense, John. They played Mason Mount, who they bought cheaply, and a good buy, I thought, from Chelsea. But he's playing alongside Casemiro in midfield. He is not a midfield player, is he? He's a front player.
Yeah, well, that's the way we've always seen him.
Yeah, it's an attacking midfield player.
Yeah, definitely. But you wouldn't know. Well, nobody knows what's going on. I don't think the manager knows what's going on at Old Trafford. I mean,
yeah,
like it has to be driven from the top.
Yeah,
all the clubs.
Yes,
when you look over the years, all the clubs, they're all in it together, and especially the owners.
Yeah.
Now the owners are not in the mix. They're way outside it. I mean, as we know, for the last 12 months, at least, trying to sell the club.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't be running the club and looking for the team on the pitch to do all the things you want them to do, and you're looking to sell it at the same time. Not the same time. At least 12 months' time. Yes. Everybody has to be pulling together, aiming for success.
Yeah.
I mean, would a Manchester United club, properly run, have gone for Harry Kane?
Yes, undoubtedly. Yeah, and they should have. And
they should have.
And clubs who are at the top of the table, Man City, except for Tottenham, I'd say, Man City will certainly pay 100 million. Tottenham would pay 100 million to get him back. Newcastle wouldn't have any problem. Manchester United, Liverpool aren't in the big spending game either, John, but they seem to really buy players that aren't at extravagant prices, but they have. As you pointed out,
you just mentioned Liverpool there.
Yeah.
Like Liverpool's buying and selling has been excellent.
Yes, very good, yeah.
In the last 5 years, 6 years, I mean, going back to Van Dijk coming into the club, the buying and selling at Liverpool has been excellent. Yeah. Because the club are what they are. I know they've got American owners as well, but they allow them to get on with what they're doing.
Yeah.
Manchester United, there's no way that the owners who want to sell the club would want to pay 100 million for Harry Kane. That's the problem with them. They have to be going from the top. And I feel a little bit sorry for the manager. They're having a total nightmare, Manchester United.
Yeah.
They're in bits.
Yeah.
They're in bits. They're terrible.
And they don't have a consistent team. I mean, Varane came back in to partner Lindelof. You don't have a consistent central defensive partnership. Wan-Bissaka was dropped mysteriously, and Dalot is back in the team. The midfield doesn't exist, really. Fernandes is the new captain, and we both, I think, feel that he lacks something for being a captain. Like, he's quite a selfish and flash sort of player. And I'd like to ask you about Marcus Rashford. I admire Marcus Rashford for things he's done off the field, including he's done a lot for school dinners for kids. He's put it up to Boris Johnson. At the same time, I read he's got 5 Rolls Royces. There's a disconnect there somewhere, maybe, but that's maybe unfair. The point is he's not doing his stuff on the pitch, John, this year, and he had a really good season last season. Why do you think that is? I think myself.
Well, the talk seems to be, he doesn't like playing up front. He likes to play on the left-hand side.
Yeah, and I agree with that.
Well, that's fair enough. But let him go and do it.
Yeah.
he should be chasing his legs off and showing an interest in that. I haven't seen that with him.
No.
Doing it. He's strolling around. He's not chasing back. There's one thing about football. It manifests itself on the pitch.
Yes.
If somebody's doing their stuff, you can see that they're doing it. It's one of the great things about football. Anybody that's hiding, they're obviously exposed. And anytime I've seen him play this year, I don't think he's tried a leg.
No.
I don't think he's really had a go when he's lost the ball.
Yeah.
You're getting back, you can't do it, you have to get in, get stuck in and all that. I haven't seen that. And I don't care about his Rolls Royce, and I don't care if he's fucking 10 of them, to be quite honest. As long as he's out on the pitch there doing his stuff and running around and giving everything he's got for the team. That's what you need from players. It doesn't matter what he's earning, but get in there and do your stuff. And get it done. And I don't see that in him. I see him strolling around, putting his hands up in the air if he doesn't get the ball, and all that rubbish. Total rubbish.
2 young players he bought. Anthony, he brought with him from Ajax, I think. He's been under a shadow because of allegations made by a former girlfriend. He's back now, and maybe he could come in the team. Sancho is another young player. They paid a lot of money for him, 75 million, John. He started off okay. Then they had a fight because Ten Hag said he wasn't training properly hard enough. And Sancho said, I am. And the next thing, Sancho was booted out of the first team dressing room and training. And he's out of commission now. So there's 2 players out of commission. I don't fancy Anthony actually as much of a player. But he's getting in fights with players as well, John, this Ten Hag, which isn't good, is it?
No, it's terrible, Eamon. The incident that you're talking about there was, I think he had it in the paper that the player wasn't trying during the week, or that he wasn't doing it in training, and the player came out publicly and said, "Yes, I am. That's not right." So you like, that's a row, Eamon.
Yes.
I can't remember the last time I saw any type of a row like that in the papers,
and end up with the player being out of commission for the first 7 games of the season.
Yeah, for what? You know, like it just doesn't make sense. And everybody knows when you played in dressing rooms, there was rows, aiming there's this, that, and the other. Never got in the paper, or there was disputes, or there was this, or there was that. But it never got in the paper because that's the manager got a hold of it and got on with the job. Yeah. But at Manchester United, you don't know where they are. How are they going to play? Who's playing? Who's going to be thrown out of the club? Who isn't going to be thrown out of the club? And then you've got the owners. Yes. Nobody knows what they're doing. Yeah. And that should be led from the top. I know I said it early on, but you shouldn't have owners, Eamon, in the position that they're in. They're trying to sell the club for the last 12 months. They're not
really trying to sell it. They were trying to sell it for 5 or 6 billion, they said. They were offered 5 or 6 billion by 2 people, somebody from Qatar and the richest man in England. Then they put the price up to 10 billion, which tells me they don't want to sell it. What they want to do is accumulate the extraordinary merchandising money that Manchester United get. Despite their lack of success, John, since Alex Ferguson retired, they are still the richest club in the world through merchandising. And I'll give you one example, and one that might interest our listeners who don't know of it. They paid 100 million to bring Ronaldo back. And people question that because Ronaldo was 35, 36 at the time. And the 100 million they paid for Ronaldo, they made back on Ronaldo shirts the following month. That's what the owners are into. Rather than putting a really decent team on the field. Now, you were a Manchester United player and a very good one, won a FA Cup medal with Manchester United before you left for Leeds. They went for a very long time before they found a successor to Sir Matt Busby, didn't they? And they look like they're on the same road, John. It took them a long time to find Alex Ferguson. They had a lot of people there. Ron Atkinson comes to mind. Wilf McGuinness was there for a while. Dave Sexton was a coach. It took them, not quite as long as Liverpool's 30 years of pain, but it was quite some time, and they're in this process again, aren't they? Well,
very much so. It's just unbelievable for Manchester United, for the owners to be in the position they're in and to be so disrespectful of the great support they have.
Yes.
Taking it for granted.
Yes.
And then the manager comes in the middle of this thing. He should be coming into a situation where everything off the pitch is done.
Yes.
And now your job is to get that team right.
Yes.
That's far from the situation at Manchester United. And I feel I have a bit of sympathy for them with the size of the club, and the way it should be run, the support they have, and all the various things that Manchester United have done over the years. It's just dreadful. It's dreadful for the supporters, the real supporters of Manchester United, that they're in the position that they're in.
And just final point, John, before I let you go. Which club in the Premier League had the biggest attendance at the weekend? I'll tell you, it was Manchester United. Manchester United had 73,000 people in Old Trafford, which is falling down, by the way, because the Glazers won't paint it and do a few other basic things. So they are the biggest club in many ways in England. The club you played for, a club I briefly was there 5 years. It felt like 50 at the level I was, which was cleaning your boots. But it's a club I have great affection for. Everyone who loves football, I think, except Liverpool fans, have great affection. And when Manchester United are struggling, you feel there's something missing, don't you, from English football?
Well, there is, Eamon. I mean, they're a famous club. They've got great supporters, you said, plus the people that support them around the world, not just in England. They should be. They should be a club that everybody can look at and say, this is Manchester United. This is the way it should be run.
Yes.
And that's certainly not the case at the moment. Okay,
John, as always, it's a pleasure to talk to you, and we're very grateful to John Giles, a living legend, and we're very happy to have John on the podcast, and we both agree, I think, that VAR should go. And we're not the only ones, I'm sure. In fact, our friend, as I pointed out earlier, Didi Hammam, said it should go from before it ever started. And we're grateful to John.